seem the most likely to win them to me.
All right, well, let's find out. As we get ourselves into the ban phase, Mirage has the first and final ban, of course, they're on the orange team. M80 is going to be the two center ones there. Last attacker, first defender. So the choices are going to go towards. So far, the bans have not gone too awry on any of the picks that we've seen, really for any of the games, if I'm being honest about this one. But an interesting one shows up for Mirage. They're going to knock out Ace, one of the hard breachers, as the first ban.
Of course, Ace often just be used really on this map. If you want to go for maybe an East take, open up Archives, could be an easy candidate there to open up that Archives wall. Maybe even open up some individual walls like 90 to maybe pressure it a little bit. But Ace is not a map where you, or Border is not a map where you really associate Ace quite a bit with it, but is one of the most flexible hard breachers in the game. So for a team like M80, if they were to bring a hard breacher, Ace would likely be one that'd be their top candidate as opposed to, say, Thermite. Nomad also going off the board, a ban we used to see quite a bit about a couple years ago on maps like Coastline and like Border, but one that has really fallen off out of favor and favor some other bans.
Considering the kind of wild playstyle we've been getting often from time to time for both of these teams, however, that is a good ban in my opinion, just considering the fact that it unlocks quite a bit more play capability, more so for the defenders more than anything else here. It's definitely going to be a double-edged sword ban for M80, as they're obviously going to have to deal with it a bit inside of these first few rounds. But I'm assuming that their operator picks that they're going to be trying to rock with this attacking side just does not incorporate Nomad, so it's not a big issue for them as they have a way to establish flank watch. Otherwise, Warden going to end up getting picked off here as the final defensive ban as well. Warden has been a very popular choice to be kind of that insight anchor for a lot of these more chaotic executes. That is going to remove that choice now, obviously.
Yeah, I like that ban from Mirage, especially for when M80 switched to their defenses. But of course, we have a little bit of a balancing act that Mirage have to run right now because they've banned that Warden, but they've not banned the Ying, which is an operator that M80 would likely be very happy to run. That was banned against them yesterday in their games because of how aggressive and how fast-paced this team can be if they want to. They sometimes tend to go for that more structured play style, but with the fragging power they have and with what we saw yesterday, they like some of those a little bit more quicker executes, even if it involves a Monty dropping down elevator hatch. But Ying is something they could very well make use of, and without that Warden, could see some problems.
Well, into the prep phase now for Mirage. No surprise in the site choices. They just hold on to the second floor site, which is pretty much the go-to for most teams. Occasionally, we'll see events pick for the first one, but for the most part, I've been seeing teams pick into this site for quite a while, even going back to pre-rework on this one. Doc is in play for Surfs. He's going to try to give himself a little bit more of an aggressive boost from that POV, so expect him to be out and about, either on that front-end balcony or deeper, of course, into areas like the CCTV area, which, of course, the attackers are going to want to immediately try and steal control to establish their own initial map control. Aside from that, though, no huge surprises, although once again, the fact that we are going to have the Rook as well might be surprising some folks at home there, with Yeti being picked up. Keep in mind, of course, aside from that, the rest of the team is not going to be bringing anything else that'll throw off the M80 attack.
Now, really, we should see a lot of focus from this, or taking this East Stairs position just because, or this East Stairs position, this CCTV position, though you can pressure East Stairs, and that is very much part of Mirage's idea for this site. With that Azami and CCTV, it's just such a powerful force. It can often be daunting to deal with and daunting to play against. With those 4 grenades they have on the board, and Iconic on that Nook, an operator he has loved throughout the 2 series that M80 played yesterday. He's got that second set, and he might not be using them in the early round. He instead could creep up East Stairs and try to put pressure onto these players inside of CCTV and break. He'll go for the first one, but DP Fire only taking a little bit of damage. So almost half of that nade were just a little bit closer, but without being taken out of that position, he'll continue layering up those Kivas and stopping the entry into CC.
See here now why Azami is so often banned out from maps like this one, just because of the annoying kind of barricades that are being created against the break room clear right now. Mirage still claims the first pick and second one now from DP Fire's POV as that challenge comes in from the south main doorway. Not only going to see Kino lost, but Spoit also here. 2 big proponents of M80's attack now gone inside of the first half of the round. Some damage being dealt to the players that picked up those kills, of course. Rampy down to sub half HP, and DP Fire nearly dead. Blinking red there. Second from the bottom, but still Mirage in charge of the situation. Even better, this is where the Doc insurance pays out hugely as both those players get boosted right back up to full now.
A lot going the defense's way, but not a lot going the attacks. Diaz has a gunfight thrown his way, but he's not able to secure the kill. And this is what M80 are going to have to rely on. So much damage has been done to their drone economy. Only 4 active drones, and those 4 are the only ones left, and only 2 of them can be moved, as Gomez has one and Iconic has one as well. This could very well come down to individual plays, but they've not drone behind the CC task. Neither knows about the other's position, so Iconic does creep on in and cut down the Rook inside of CCTV. That's only 1 kill. They'll need 1 more to even it up, and if they can get one into the site, perhaps they might even find a way back into this round.
Diaz continuing to look for a new option to get himself onto the inside of the site. Eastman just not playing out in the way he would like it to here. Kanza does not want to be distracted by that one, just shoots it away. So unfortunately, the throw does not go where he needs it to. All quiet on the front here right now for M80, though, as they've taken up new positions to entry and mainly towards the archive side here. Quite a bit of pressure going to be working its way in from actually really all angles into this site. Beeper's pressure from Gomez. West main play coming out from another member of the team. And then as well, Diaz also trying to put the situation from archives. A few trades here and there, but for the most part, the hold is strong for the defense. And with that, they claim the first round.
Border always comes down to those opening engagements, and especially if you can get an opening pick untraded or even a lead of 2 players over the other, a 5v3, it's very difficult for either side, the attack or the defense, to come back for that. Just because with Border, you basically have to defend the whole map in order to defend it at all. And for the attack, you have to take a lot of that map control if you want to, well, attack the site by the end. And because Mirage, we're holding on to CCTV, we're holding on to Office, and M80 lost 2 players in rapid succession. All you have to rely on, especially because of the damage to your drone economy, is going to be players like Iconic managing to creep in, managing to make a play, and only 1 kill actually went their way via that strategy.
So M80 not able to hit the ground running here in round number 1. Will force, of course, the site change from Mirage into their second round now as they head downstairs over towards Tellers, though, over on the kind of alternate side of the map. We'll still see a bit of defense put into the upstairs portion of Office and a few other key areas as well to waste out M80's time on this clear. M80 are finally going to incorporate... never mind. Okay, I was about to remark on the Ying that you had brought up just on the last round, but like it's swapped away. They need the extra hard breach instead, apparently, as they'll go over towards the Hibana for Kino.
Ying is also one of those operators that you might be hesitant to bring it out early because it can be used to get 1 or 2 quick cheese rounds just to try and tip the scales in your favor, and you might not want to play that so early because Mirage will get used to it. They'll start to understand on this map in this specific game how you're using that Ying. So if you get it to get rounds 2 and 3, well, let's say you are on round number 12, down 5-6, maybe you like that Ying, and maybe you like Mirage to be a bit more surprised by it when you bring it out. So that might be why M80 are closing it off for the time being, despite that Warden ban. But they still have plenty of useful utility. They have those EMPs, don't have the Ace, of course, to open up that wall, but does have the Hibana to accomplish a very similar range breach function to likely try and attack that east side of the map and acquire that Office control. And this time, they do acquire that opening pick, but not on east. Over in CCTV is where Spoit takes the first bit of control.
Spoit's going to be knocking out the Yeti there with that control now being claimed. M80 will be clear to move forward even further past that point. DP Fire wants to get a trade onto this one, though, as he spots out the angles deeper into it. Oh, nearly is given the free pick on a Spoit, but he turns it around instead, and Iconic claims another kill on top of that one, too. Spoit trying to go for another pickup here for M80. Already the defense has been shut down for the most part. Surf at least gets the down on to Spoit. The impact not pokeballing him just yet, but still has him locked down here and is trying to use that position to leverage even more kills, but it goes the other way instead. Kino to claim the frag on Surf, leaving it all on Kanza now for the defensive setup inside of what is still a 1v5 as Spoit now brought back from a down state.
Very worried about that east stairs position. Knows someone might be on the balcony, but is now giving away his spot down below by shooting that drone. Not working off any intel at the moment, just firing shots left, right, and center. The player on that balcony has now dropped below, does see one, but Iconic with the rotation station headshots him from underneath. Gives M80 that first round, but for both teams, it's now 1-1. These teams have a good understanding of what they need to do on Border. You can't just let that map control slip by into the attacking hands, and the attack cannot just let the defense hold on to it. You need to contest and be aggressive and be successful in that early round. Both teams get that.
Expect this one to definitely go a decent distance if this is going to be the indication of the rest of the rounds as well. The seesaw back and forth, quick adjustments from M80 after they had a rocky start to things on the upstairs hold. They find quick corrections to that now and take control on the second round to equalize things, and we'll see if that will carry forward into the next round here. More importantly, if we get that same site selection coming out as well. A retry. Nope, not going to happen over towards Tellers. Mirage going for vents instead on this one.
As with every site, again, you'll need to extend beyond the site. The likely candidate here will be Armory. Maybe they'll go with that CCTV hold again. DP Fire has been sticking with the Azami pretty religiously so far, especially in rounds 1 and 3. Liking to hold on to that position with those Kiba barriers that can always be so difficult for the attack. And CCTV is such a natural entry point for the attack. When you think of Border, usually think of entering into that part of the map, and Azami makes that extremely difficult. But Mirage have had a very solid entry game so far. Even though it's only 1-1, even though Spoit got one, so M80 gets one, and then Mirage gets one as well. They have been very aggressive and successful so far in these 2 rounds on this run. If they're able to keep up that pressure, but just outgun M80 a little bit, it could work out. But we finally have something, John. Kino has stuck the Ying.
Indeed, Kino has decided to go for it this time around here. capability as well to insert that Ying, I do believe, into this site, considering the access points that she will have access to here. The best case scenario for M80, so we'll see if this potentially gives them that second round to really push them forward into a leading position now, or if Mirage are ready for it. They're able to fend that one off. Keep in mind, of course, no warden allowed for this one, so they do not have that potential hard counter towards it. As a result, we'll have to respect the Ying dumps once M80 is ready to deploy towards it. Not even a whole lot in terms of mitigation coming out here either, aside from just the laser gates that Kansan has brought.
Ooh, Iconic. What do you have planned? He's got East Stairs in mind. He's taking this position, which you always would like to take control of on the attack, but good decision. Leave the default cam up. Don't reveal your position with the Hell Scanner run out. Bad timing for him, unfortunately. Not his fault, but now he's punished for it from downtown by DP Fire. Iconic had someone on those stairs with him. He's got Gomez to hold the position, but great read by Mirage. Excellent usage of that default camera, because now the defense knows where the attack wants to play from.
He's going to spot out Rampy as he dashes his way back into what he believes is a safe corner of the office here. Kino able to excel for M80, though, find a decent trade and eliminate DP Fire, getting revenge for the earlier death of Iconic. Even once more, down to a 4v4 now as M80 try to proceed forward from Eastmate alongside of some control. They're more than likely going to get towards CCTV once the Yonic completes her own drone. Aside from that, Ying now dumping her first Candela into the depths of office here, but no follow-up just as of yet. Trying to see if they can force a reaction on anybody else from Mirage, but it's not going to end up transpiring. One of the members of the team does end up rotating down. The other two upstairs holds are more than likely to give away over the next few seconds too. They just do not have the manpower or even the utility power to stem the tide here.
No, the back off, which is good, especially with M80 starting to use those Candelas on the roam clear. A second kill goes their way as well. So rotation well timed by Mirage. Rampy falls. The last bastion of that roam inside of Armory. Another player put low on HP on Mirage. Kansan below half health. The T95 for Kino ringing out, suppressed but still very loud, ringing in the ears of the defenders. Kino has 3 Candelas remaining as well, and with full vertical control for the attack, once they go in for this execute, Kino should very well be able to toss those Candelas into the site, and as the attack waits and hides around the corner to hide their own vision, they can press on in once those 3 Candelas detonate and clean up this round.
Kansan dancing around death right now as he knows that top-down pressure is incredibly strong against him, knows he cannot directly peek it, but at the same time, he needs to be able to maintain some resistance to the push that's going to be bleeding in a second here for the members of Mirage. As we see that Yeti opening up an angle is not going to be able to spot the planter, so Kino gets it down cleanly onto the ground. Watching for crosses, gets some damage out, but no kills claimed against Kino or his other teammate that have been staring nearby. Surf also looking to work his way deeper back into this retake as well, as he'd been forced into the back end of the site alongside Kansan here. Kansan not long for this world apparently, but Surf is there for the trade. However, still down a player. They only go 1 for 1 in that scenario. Diffuser has been spotted back out. They're going to be able to retake considerable control in the area around the Diffuser, and a big pickup from Surf, but once again, the top downs are alive and well, and that's the big issue that unfortunately can't be dealt with by the defense, giving M80 a second round now.
After losing those 2 roamers and realizing that the Ying was on the board and what M80 might have in mind, I think Mirage made the right call. Play for the retake, don't try to contest on the site, and you'll end up getting blinded by those Candelas, and it won't be a fight at all for M80 to win that round. So move off of the site, try to deny the plant, but unfortunately, that stock position, if maybe he'd even gotten a little aggressive, maybe hopped out that window, might have gotten an angle on Kino planting in that position, but just unfortunately, nobody decided to go for the retake on the vertical, or once they did, the bomb was already down, M80 were already cemented in their positions, so I think the aggression from Mirage maybe was just a little too slow, even though the call to play for the retake once they entered that 3v4 was the right one.
Limited manpower to play that retake with as well, so I don't even realistically think they could have afforded to have one of their players rotate all the way around through what would have had to have been an East main play to counter out those upstairs positions, and you could bet more than likely that M80 probably had a player keeping an eye on that as well, since that was their only realistic option. Just not a lot of ways for Mirage to come out on top of that retake there, as it's played so cleanly by M80. Speaking of which, full repick now for the team going into this next round here. A few of them are change-ups in terms of who is taking which operator. As we can see, that's going to be the case for 3 out of the 5 here, if I'm reading it correctly, but the Ying is being repicked into this one, as well as the Garhook for Gomez.
Oh boy, Kino's on his favorite op, John. This man is famous for his love of Cali, and this is screaming one thing in my mind. Though Kino is now running over to the Armory side of things, So maybe it will change. My initial thought process was that we'd see Gomez fly into sandwich window, Kino go all the way in Narnia on the east side to cover a plant maybe inside of Archives. But Kino's only getting Claymores over here so far. Maybe he has a different idea. Could also go on that CC repel, hold a very long angle into break to catch any rotations. Based on many of the positions in the attack, it's looking like maybe at least some East Stairs pressure early on. But either way, I'm excited for whatever this lineup has in store because the Gar hook has not gone off yet. And that means whenever that execute comes, you can expect Gomez to go in sync with the Candelas and for some explosions from M80.
Absolutely going to be the case, especially when you consider for those who spotted it, good spot as well. It is going to be Gomez running with the shotgun this time on the Gar hook also.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, we only saw it for a split second, but she does have the shotgun currently in the inventory, and you can see that on the left side now. Already firing out some shots, actually, as Gomez works his way into the lower floor right now. I think just taking over some vents control and using that shotgun to open up a few rotates.
Oh, Lord. He's going up the hatch.
He's always going up the hatch.
Oh, this is the play
Ready
right
for
here.
it. Let's see. He needs to try and win out the fight. Yeti's claimed the first resistance kill, though, and it's against Kino, so this may actually kill it outright. We'll have to see. Trying to line himself up for it. Up he goes. Is there a challenger waiting around the corner? No, it's from his backside instead. All of his teammates falling down beside him. It's an interesting strat to be sure from M80, but it just does not work out as Mirage shut it down outright in a flawless round.
Oh, I'm gutted, John. I'm absolutely gutted by that.
Gomez just couldn't find anyone when he went up top there. They just rotated completely away from him.
I try not to be biased for a team, but I can't even lie to you. I wanted M80 to win that round so badly, man. I've not seen somebody just send it up that hatch. I thought maybe we'd see Gomez going through that sandwich window and cause chaos, but as you pointed out, the Supernova, that makes the close quarters engagement inside of small office a lot more favorable for that Amaru. But again, as you pointed out, nobody was biting. Not a single person from Mirage were caught out of position or getting aggressive. They were all waiting, and the moment M80 just sent it on in, even if some of the players were blinded, there were plenty that could still watch the angles they were entering from and cut short that very exciting and interesting setup.
Kino going down first pretty much kills it as well when you consider the fact that he was more than likely meant to be Overwatch for the Amaru play going into that one. So unfortunate as it just does not pan out. Like I said, it's an interesting strat, and I'd love to see it attempted again in the future. Probably not in this match, but maybe in a future one for this team, but just does not work out this time around. I think it has prompted possible tack pause coming in here too, as we got that considerable delay between the last round and this one.
We'll say if it is a tack timeout, I was a little bit surprised. I mean, haven't seen anything I feel too worrying from M80 or Mirage just yet.
Been back and forth. It might have just been a quick tack or something like that.
Well, either way, even if it was a tack timeout, maybe there was something going wrong in the comms, but I do believe, I understand, might have been a tack timeout for Mirage. Yeah. Still timeout taken by Mirage nonetheless. Hopefully we'll see M80, of course, taking some time of their own during that, get a different idea for the Ying play. Well, I mean, Kino does have about 17 seconds to still switch off that operator, but they have decided that they want to make this an element of their own clear, and I think that's definitely a good idea to take advantage of the benefits that Ying has to offer, as well as the Warden ban, because the opening engagements, because the entry phase of the round, those first 45 seconds to a minute and a half is so important. Use those Candelas, throw the defenders off guard, but Mirage have brought some good tools of their own. They've brought the castle to sort of block off some entry points and angles for the attack, and also brought that Valkyrie to bring the intel, and brought the Mozzie and the Mute to deny that intel as well. So a little bit of a game in cat and mouse potentially between these two teams.
Mirage as well here, very importantly, once again, not bringing a whole lot of mitigation, pretty much none going into this round at all. Even when they had brought the Ying previously, they were mostly just dealing with the laser gates in forms of utility that could end up eating that one out. Now they've got absolutely nothing, so the Candelas are gonna go off every single time, unless they're like a misthrown or something like that, which isn't really gonna happen. So it's a safe bet that that utility will find good impact for the M80 side. So they're gonna continue to run it more than likely for these final 2 rounds here, unless we see Mirage as well change up their own operator picks. Spoit already with some control upstairs here, but quite a bit more to work towards, as of course we are going to be going against the Vents defense for Mirage downstairs, so they have a bit more of a stalwart hold on the inside of the office archives as well as armory area yet again.
M80 able to acquire that CC control basically for free, but Spoit does take some damage as he rotates through 90, but still the ability to hold this part of the map, and as M80 mount pressure from east stairs into office as well, they can begin to encircle this part of the map, even though most of Mirage, at least the Mirage players off site, are stationed up there. One prox alarm will signal Iconic's position. He joins Spoit inside. It looks like they might try to flood him through armory instead, take the fight with the cap can, and then progress on forward. Playing these trades with these 2 aggressive players could work out, but 2 members, 3 total from M80 have taken damage. That does not stop Kino from opening things up with a quick kill onto Yeti.
dropped out from Rampy as well. But that player is lost, not wanting to risk anything else at this early phase of the round still. With just under half of it to go, they need to make sure that the actual defensive matrix is not going to fall to pieces. Good impact coming out here, actually deals some decent damage to Iconic as well. And now the peek into it, DP Fire ready for the challenge, nearly gets the second. Had the headshot lined up there. We're going to see Spoit pick up the exchange for it. Diaz with another one for the assaulting force as well. Rampy now falls to Diaz. Leaving only Kansan and Surf in it for the defense. Good thing we saw the fallback from before, but now it's going to be a bit of a moot point here when both players are going to have to knock out 2 each to stand a chance against the Flood, which is only blowing up here in just a moment.
Good shot by Surf, denying the ability to open up that hatch. They do have some Rotero drones to open it up as well, so still possible for M80 to open up that hatch. Not a lot of time, though. They have 38 seconds, but maybe still about 10 seconds away from an execute, and all on reduced HP. No C4 from Kansan, but if they can play the retake, dodge these Candelas, and just pepper some more shots into these attackers, this could still be a winnable round.
Diaz with the pickup, though, makes those chances slim to none at this point. Surf left alone, gets an impressive kill there. Grabbing at least one, dropping down through the hatch, but aside from that, he is quickly dealt with. And once again, M80 is able to slay out here to claim 1 of the final 2 rounds of this first half.
Just good, efficient use of the Ying so far, but you really have to commend Mirage for holding on to that roam in the mid-round. But M80 were just a very good job at stacking up on those entryways, playing those trades, and of course, by the execute, using that utility and converting the advantage they acquired earlier into a very successful execute. Now they've secured themselves at least a 3-3 half, and if Mirage can answer back, I think both teams can confidently say that they played a very good half, because honestly, between these two teams, there are not quite a lot of obvious faults and missteps being made. Just really, especially in the early round in the execute, the middle round's often quiet, but in the first 45 seconds and the last 45 seconds has really been, these teams have just been outplaying each other if they win it.
Absolutely agree with that sentiment there, as we have been seeing very close contention in quite a few of these rounds. Well, yeah, some of them have been somewhat one-sided. It hasn't, as you mentioned, been due to any direct mistakes being made by the losing team from that round. It's more been due to the successes of the team that ends up taking it for themselves. So M80 looking to solidify that here with a 4th round for an overall 4-2 halftime scoreline. With Mirage able to seesaw this a little bit, they as well are keen on that 3-3 half. As they change things up just a little bit for their final sight hold, still downstairs on the inside of Vents, it looks like, for this final defensive setup here. Pulse has been brought out for Kansan. The Malus is going to try to slow things down on the interior site take as well here, so those few changes hopefully giving them that greater capability to control the actual site fight, which it really didn't seem like they've had that control up until this point, in my opinion.
Also see DP Fire more actively holding CCTV in this round. I like that change. It stops M80 from acquiring that CCTV control so early, and as we saw, even though they flirted with east side pressure, as we entered into the mid-round, they quickly rotated over to Armory, dealt with DP Fire in that position. Or actually, it's Yeti on the Azami, excuse me. DP Fire is playing Azami quite a bit, but doesn't matter what gun he has. Dome Spoit, the very player who took early control of this part of the map in the last round. Now Mirage, in turn, will take a very early lead and can sit comfortably on this roam, even as well, aided by the Pulse. I mean, this is just a lot going for them in the first 45 seconds.
We're going to see this thermite barricade being used. Keep in mind, folks, it is going to open up this wall sitting to the left of it, so it's not a bad one. An immediate follow-up from Iconic to pick up a kill, too. Beautifully done, but keep in mind, they did lose another one of their own teammates in the process here, so it is just a trade. Mirage still down at this point here, or rather, M80 still down, I should say, by at least 1 player in this situation. So despite the successes from Iconic, nicely found by Kino in the meanwhile here, as he's busy clearing things out on the inside of Customs itself. He catches Surf mid-rotate, trying to work up those metal stairs, and now things have even backed down.
I mentioned at the beginning that it's been the first 45 seconds of the last 45 seconds that have really made these rounds for either Mirage or M80, but here it might actually be the mid-round for M80 that gets this back. Kino's able to find that kill on metal stairs, and as they've recovered and gained that 3v3 with still a minute and a half to go, they could still stack up on this defender inside of Armory. They have intel on his position, but both DP Fire and Yeti are now stacked up, playing off each other. Diaz will creep on in. The Banshee reveals his spot. He's flashbanged by his own team as well, so the push-in halted for the time being. DP Fire still low, can maybe be traded out by Yeti, and indeed he is. Excellent overwatch by the Azami. Now Rampy tag teaming with him on that top floor. They'll pull back because they know even with a minute left, because they've done that damage, they might still be able to win it. But oh my god, John, Kino's in the site. He somehow acquired this level of control, and as the Candelas go out, they can still go for the plant.
Diaz as well trying to maintain a long-range overwatch for anyone that would drop down inside of the lobby and attempt to retake from their default plant positions so they can go all the way outside and just hold angles to win this one out. He's going to put a lot of pressure, at least initially, on the player holding the door. Another Candela goes in, wastes out a good 5 seconds or so. He's just going to blind Yeti, hold him back from his immediate retake angle. Rampy as well with nothing to find from this top down. So not going to be the best retake position for him to use. Dropping down this hatch could very well lead to his own death, and another Candela goes out, blinding him. Great utility usage here, just to waste the time more than anything. Constantly just annoy these defenders, and now aggression to push back in, pull off their own retake of their own plants, and win out the round that way. Beautifully done from M80 to claim one final round at the tail end of the half.
I gotta give credit to Kino for that round. I mean, of course, he got that kill onto Surf, who was rotating up metal stairs, which secured passport control really fully for the attack, and then making the read in the mid-round, likely aided by the information provided by his team. Of course, Diaz Lucas pushing that top floor, alongside, I believe, Gomez as well. Once they realized there were 2 roamers on that top floor that needed to rotate back, Kino took the control he acquired earlier, took a snapshot of the site right there.
What was that for?
I mean, he's been doing a lot of stuff with the camera, which I appreciate, by the way.
Taking a picture of the moment or something?
Yeah,
like,
I guess. I mean,
does he not know you just hit like F12 to take a screenshot?
It's funnier this way, though. It's funny this way.
It's a good meme. Yeah.
But no, seriously, like, you really got to give it to Kino.
He needs to send a few of those to us so we can hang them up here.
Ooh, that'd be good. Dude, I bet Jesse could craft a lot of good bits with some Kino photos.
Make a scrapbook.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've got M80 on the defensive end. Now trying to lock in victory on this matchup. Just 3 rounds to go. Mirage, of course, looking for the comeback now after having a relatively decent start to things, going back and forth, neck and neck with M80, but falling off big time towards the tail end of the half. Now looking to make up for this on the attacking side. We'll see if they're able to exercise as much control as M80 found on those final 2 rounds.
Kansas bringing the Ying immediately. You know, because M80 were like, you know,
we'll just like slowly wean it in here.
Maybe we don't need it. Maybe we don't. Okay, we do need it. Let's play it now. And it worked very well. So Mirage are like, well, they probably had something going with that. They probably knew what they were doing. So let's bring the Ying as well. This isn't to say they're copying M80. They probably just thought of the idea themselves, but still provides a good parallel to what they can do. I imagine, like M80 as well, Mirage will look to acquire some early East Stairs control when attacking this armory attack, or this armory site. Sometimes they move into CCTV as well, M80 did, but Mirage are very much looking on acquiring East Stairs pressure, then leverage it for further angles onto break and CC dash. This is often, I would say, probably the most common spot where armory attacks tend to collide with the defense, and sure enough, it seemed to be the first 45 seconds where both teams are coalescing to form and create these first opening entry engagements.
DP Fire trying to drone from the roof skylight here. Figures out the position of just one player. I think it's Kino down below. It's found out. Going to try to bank the nade in onto him as well. Has to be expecting this considering the drone he just took out here a few seconds prior. And indeed he is. Backs up into a corner. Hopefully he's not going to be knocked out by either one of those nades. Wasted out that utility, unfortunately, for the attackers. And even with the breach being made, I mean, he can even afford to get a little bit aggressive now. Knows that that resistance is not going to be coming into any form. But you still have 2 more nades being built up by another player. But the impact just goes right into the face by their Surf or Rampy right there. Rampy is going to get brought back. But now Yeti's down too. Everyone from Mirage fallen by the wayside. Not even being finished off just yet. It's going to start to change here now as Gomez gets the finisher onto Yeti. Takes him down outright. Surf as well, still in a down state. Potentially retrievable though when you look at the situation a bit more clearly here. DP Fire as well, nicely done to take out the player that had thrown him down onto the ground. So Mirage getting a bit better control over this situation after initially it looked like things were just going to fall to pieces a few seconds ago.
How have they brought that one back? I mean, that looked like a pretty quick round, and suddenly 3 people being downed only turned into a man advantage? I'm not really sure how that's just happened. I mean, Surf and Rampy are both low health, to be fair, and Gomez retains control of CCTV with less than a minute left for Mirage's attack. So this is a very powerful angle. He might even be able to see this player moving into East Stairs. They have intel on the other one as well. So Gomez has a very long angle, but you cannot teach that. DP Fire on a tear to this game, and is able to read out Gomez's very position. Of course, he can get stimmed back up. Mirage are not going to roll over quietly.
With their own quick revival, M80 go back to full strength as of a few seconds ago. Now ready to fend off the exit coming into the site. Iconic takes down the first challenger. Second one goes to him as well. 2 more moving into Archives, going for the plant with Kansan being the defender, sitting directly behind him. They get themselves off the plant though. Don't have confidence in this one. Diaz moves in, takes out the planter and the second follow-up as well. A great retake here from M80. Always having having control over the round, but had a little bit of trouble knocking out a few of those players, giving Mirage that opportunity to rebound. Unfortunately, does not pan out, though, as they choose the wrong path into the site, and M80 is more than ready to shut down that challenge.
I think Surf might have actually been able to stick that plant. I think it was a very safe decision to fall off. I understand why he did it, but unfortunately for him, the dramatic irony of the situation, might have been able to stick it if he could have. But again, totally understand why. But again, you have to give it to both teams. I mean, that basically shifted hands about 5 different times in 5 seconds during that opening round of engagements. And ultimately, M80 still kept the upper hand through it. Even when they lost the man advantage, the positions they still held and the time they had wasted, they still had CC control that caused some uncertainty for Mirage, and they controlled the bulk of the resources inside of Office and Archives, which is where Mirage decided to execute from. That was the deciding factor. Because Mirage kept with that execute, and M80 read into it perfectly.
Good discipline overall, too. They more than likely are aware of quite a few of those 3 players at one point that were down, and no one overextends necessarily to try and find those picks. There is one player that's just continues to hold their angle on the inside of Break that gets taken down by a member of Mirage ultimately, but aside from that, they don't really lose anyone trying to chase those kills down, or still able to keep solid control over the overall situation, despite the fact that Mirage got all 3, or at least 2 out of 3 of those players back up from the grave.
Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb.
Definitely a make or break round for Mirage right now, because they've looked very good, but that if they end up losing this game, this will be 2 out of 3 games that they would have looked very good in one particular game where they would have been extremely close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And unfortunately, in a very quick best or one round robin, losing out on some points when there's not that many matchups, you gotta be careful. You gotta get these rounds when you need them, and M80 are 1 round away from securing at least 1 point in this matchup. They've also brought the Mira to maybe shake up Mirage a little bit, because as both teams have done, they've used this Ying, and while, you know, the Ying can't stop you from being blind or stop the Ying from throwing those Candelas, it allows the defense to hold on to these positions a little more stalwartly, duck down from behind that black mirror, and if it's not been cleared or dealt with by the attack, they still have an angle alive.
We have M80 once again trying to poke out with bits of aggression all over the map. Iconic nearly setting himself up for an early elimination, tries to fire back against DP Fire, who throws out most of those shots. The DP Fire's angle is much safer, as you can see, with this hard wall supporting his peak, only really revealing his head and shoulders over to his opponent, so he takes 0 damage in response to the damage he himself dishes out against Iconic there. Iconic, I believe, potentially having to give up the position in CCTV as well if he had to rotate for it, but upon further look, it looks like he is still maintaining a presence on the inside, just with a bit more teammate support, and he is specifically playing behind that mirror window now.
Just holding complete dominion over the 90 hallway, looking towards east stairs. And this has certainly tripped up Mirage in the early round. They've made their way onto that stairwell, but over half the round now gone. They haven't even entered break, haven't even started entering into CCTV, and they are very fixated on this position. Candela goes on in, and most of them are shot. So as the Ying goes on in, oh no, Gomez! To go! Wade disappears, and he leaves Iconic to his fate. A brutal misplay for M80. Oh no. If they end up losing this round, they'll still have a lead, but oh boy, they'll be kicking themselves for this one.
Gomez, he's a deserter, drops back down, leaves his teammate for dead here. Another kill now picked up by the attack as well. Kino is going to end up getting dropped a few seconds after Iconic. Not a good situation here now for M80, as they were in a good position to completely shut down that take and keep Iconic alive. Now it's no longer the case, and it just keeps getting worse. Spoit gets tripped up with a flash going into his face, can't find the head of Rampy, and he takes him down instead. Diaz and Gomez are all that remains. Thankfully, this is a lower floor hold. There is still going to be a little mini reset here for Mirage, but they don't even really have the firepower at this point to fend it off. It's a 2v5 now, and there's been virtually 0 damage on anyone for Mirage.
And Diaz taking even more damage as the time dwindles low. One player does fall, and Kansan drops to low HP, so perhaps M80 might just have a win cooked up in their pocket. Bomb going down, and now Gomez in a 1v5. This would be the ultimate redemption from his misplay earlier. He's only got 1, make that 2 kills. Finishes off Surf. Kansan on 1 HP. Bomb now down, so not infinite time for Gomez to clutch this one. He'll look up the stairs, but dedicate himself to the first floor, and domed, cementing a victory for Mirage. And yet, of course, Gomez didn't mean to drop down that hatch, but this is one of those cases where that one misplay was the first domino to fall.
Very much the case, and it just, like we said, kept getting worse and worse from that point forward. Players players on M80 trying to make up the difference, trying to get hyper-aggressive to swing, counter out the expectations of their opponents, but it just continued to give over more and more control to the attackers, ultimately allowing for them to walk into the site, get a free plant down, and a fairly simplistic post plan as well. Yep, a little bit of damage being traded back and forth. And Gomez, a valiant attempt to clutch it in the 1vx, but nowhere close to control over the situation. So it is dropped, and now we see Mirage close the gap yet again here, as the scoreline overall drops to a 5-3. Still in favor of M80 at this point, though.
I do like them running this Mira setup back. Likely going to actually be very similar to their vent setup as well. Maybe not in the exact same position, but maybe some early control on that top floor. We'll focus on CCTV, then maybe fall back to Armory once Mirage starts to put a little bit of that pressure on. We do have a switch up from Mirage, at least for the time being, dropping the Ying, which almost every single attacking team has run since about round number 3 or 4, and at least for the moment, gonna extend out my words because he's now just switched back to the Ying. I was gonna talk about the Brava John, but then he just switched back. I guess
it's happened like 3 times this game though, where they try to talk about a repick and then they just like, nah, never mind.
Wait, as a caster, at least in Rainbow Six, I'm always like, oh, wow, that's a really exciting repick. Oh crap, I started talking about it. There's 25 seconds left. This is gonna be really awkward.
That is the one thing I miss about 6 picks. Is like at least we knew they were happening, you know.
That is better than 6.
Yeah, you know, I agree 100% with you. But.
Well, either way, again, with the defense, they're still running that same setup, and I imagine Mirage are likely going to run something fairly similarly as before. The Dokkaebi and the Candelas have been very pivotal for them in the early round, and we have that same mirror window watching 90 hallway, but a very good drone by Yeti on this exact position. That intel is going to be so useful for them because they know exactly when or when not that player is on the Mira. They can counter it as a result, because many of those Candelas were shot before, so if they have intel on the player playing there, those Candelas might actually be more effective.
Going to keep moving that drone forward. It does get spotted out by Iconic, though, so it does not get past the breach going into 90 itself. First kill is claimed by M80 on this round also. Rampy going to get found out this time in comparison to the last one where he was able to get one of the opening entries over towards East Main. Now he goes down instead, trying to make an impact over here. Still on that east side, of course, but finding himself dead instead of with a kill. Overall, M80 still in control of the situation. Yeti with some forward control, of course, now having moved in through Passport to try and throw a nade forward. Oh, Diaz has a lucky star watching out for him, apparently, as he just barely stays alive from that nade. 5 HP or less currently for him, as he tries now to survive out the rest of the round, probably within the depths of showers, not wanting to fall victim to a secondary nade.
Yeah, that's a case of the 3 armor diff right there, and that one C4 he's got in his pocket survives. One Candela goes out as well from Kansan. Not sure where it is. Nothing capitalized off it just yet. The attack does know about the one player lurking inside event. Very default position to hold tellers, as you often just hold off the site and play for the retake or play to stop the very execute that you know the attack will do. Almost all of M80 except for DS Lucas on that western side of the map. He'll send out the C4, but Kansan can easily dodge that one. So Mirage have quite a bit going for them. They've got that vertical control. They're really set up for this execute once they start moving in through courtyard. The only problem is everyone from M80 is watching this position.
M80 immediately shutting down 2 of the players trying to move in. It takes a control towards vents. There's a third right there. Very straightforward shutdown coming in from our defenders right now. And it's going to tee us up for our penultimate round, or rather for potentially our ultimate round. Yeti at least gets the finisher off onto Tias. That was that nade damage that we had happened prior, as he was just barely able to survive that. So he does eventually fall victim to that on a second nade. But overall, the round still very much under the control of M80 as they push it to map and match point.
And Mirage beginning to stall out at the very end there. They had that vertical control. They had that office control. Of course, there were still defenders on that top floor, but they were all inside of Armory on that western side of the map. And so as Mirage had East, they had a way into sight. You had Yeti in courtyard. They always were hesitant to take that final step as they were down a man, and M80 would just be able to trade them out and start retaking those positions. So it was a difficult game to play, but they tried to force and execute. Unfortunately, just time and time kept getting burned and burned and burned. 3 rounds now. We'll have to see Mirage fight back. But yesterday, there were 2 different 6-3 comebacks to overtime, John. So given the trend from day 1, this is certainly not done for Mirage.
Mirage has already showed us the capability to kind of come back from the depths in these situations as well here. And already shown their capability to challenge M80, but we really have not seen that, unfortunately, ever since the halftime flip. M80 very much, save for 1 round, has been in control of this scenario, so it is going to take rebound energy for Mirage. They need to find themselves for 3 more pickups here, trigger that OT, and still keep a point on the board for themselves out of this matchup versus just the full 3 spread that M80 would get if they close this down with 1 more at some point in the next 3.
It also goes to show how confident M80 are in their play, because if I am correct, I believe Armory might have opened up, and they decided not to go with it.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it was the first round M80 won on their attack, but they've gone back to Vents, which some of you might be thinking if they lost, why to go back to it? I mean, they lost it because Gomez accidentally fell down a hatch.
Yeah.
And that was basically the beginning of the end.
Not wrong.
Because before Gomez dropped down that hatch, he had shot not 1 but 2 Candelas that Kansan had thrown into CCTV.
They also had no idea he was in that position.
Oh,
as well.
no, yeah, Kansan was literally looking to his right to clear the mirror window and had no idea he was there. They might know now because Kansan saw him drop down the hatch, but this was still a very rock-solid setup from M80 that could have worked out, save for 1 very small individual mistake, but Mirage have chained things up completely as well, but Kansan looking to maybe just send it into Sandwich.
One of those Candelas is whipped, but shouldn't really detract from the overall situation too much, just with how many were flooded in. Mirage picked up a quick kill, but the responses start to flood in as well. Spoit was 1 for 1 with his opponents here, quickly knocking out the drone presence as well, while having to dodge nades. Nicely played by Spoit, keeps his composure, comes out with another kill, and still survives the nade damage. Also, wants to go for 3 now, but has to be careful. This is a hard prepared angle on the rappel outside. Rampy taking a lot of heat as he tries to move forward, but he'll be found out also and taken down here now by Gomez on the other side outside of Beepers.
No Candelas left for Kansan. Surf's got those skeleton keys to take some close quarters engagements. Oh, Kino gives one away to the Ying. He'll take that advantage with a smile. Makes it a little bit more manageable, especially because Spoit is on low HP, and both of those C4s remaining for the defense are gone. And Mirage still have a 1.5 minutes left. Both players have at least 1 drone in pocket. Kansan will move on in as well as Surface holding the armor. Oh no! You can't, you gotta watch your feet, my boy.
Always the random spot on the floor as well.
Well, I don't know if I'd call random, it's vent window.
Oh, it's the window spot. I didn't realize, I thought it was like directly to the right of the doorway. I didn't realize he'd gone that far.
No, but I mean, you wouldn't expect to step in that frost mat walking in the doorway, but that might be, I mean, he's got time to revive him, but now that Kansan's on low HP, that unfortunately might just be the nail in the coffin for Mirage if M80 play passive and just hit the remaining shots.
It's the HP disadvantage that's really going to hurt their capability here now. No Ying Candelas to throw in, as you mentioned a few seconds ago as well here. Surf actually getting the angle against Diaz, although I'm not sure if he realizes it yet. Diaz as well with some play potential against this, considering it is the 3v2. If he wants to get a little bit aggressive, he could try to peek in against that bottom to top angle, but choosing the safe option instead, goes in behind the hard wall, now trying to avoid these additional utility deaths. Actually noticing the EDDs this time, prevents disaster and what could have been the elimination of Surf had he not checked for it before going through the doorway there. And now sets him up for the drop. He'll head in. Drops down towards server. Spoit already with a counter to the rotate if he tries to go back over towards main door, but instead just going to throw that case down onto the ground. Kansan is also descended to join him. Nicely done from Surf. Gets himself off the plant, stops it, but the retake now coming forward for Gomez. Drops the case down to the ground, leaves Kansan on his lonesome, and Diaz to seal the deal with 1 final kill as this map and this match goes over to M80.
I think Mirage really had some good defenses in the first half. Even though it was a 4-2, I think it was deceptively maybe favoring towards M80. I think either could have ended up winning that half, but really the attacks from Mirage, they didn't look bad by any means. They were fine. The main problem was especially once M80 started bringing out that Mira, Mirage really struggled to clear those power positions, clear the spots that M80 were holding solidly, and that was what ended up getting M80, just those defenses that were a little bit better than Mirage's attacks.
So M80 happy with that victory. They're putting themselves on a much more solid foundation, especially finding that victory on the inside of regulation before their opponent's going to have to do some bigger work here in the future in order to find another victory for themselves. As it's rebound time for them. That does it for our second map, ladies and gentlemen. Do stick with us. We're going to go a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your